have fun. You say love is blind, but that's just some bullshit right there. Cause I'm looking in your eyes, and the burning fire, sex on my mind, and that's what you want. Here, face to face, and we both.
Hello? No. But the micro. Oh.
That one's not working? It's not working? Okay. He'll mute you. You good?
Yeah, we have two of these cords here.
Audience, we're going to start in a few seconds. Good morning and welcome to the DMZ. How are we doing today? Woo! Amazing. Thank you to everyone for coming on this very special day to celebrate the official launch of the DMZ Women Founders Accelerator. We're very excited to be opening applications across the nation for what will be cohort 1 of this program. I'd like to first start with a land acknowledgement. Toronto and Ryerson University are in the dish with one spoon territory. The dish with one spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. We're pleased to have you join us, and we're also pleased to be joined by online viewers as this event is being live streamed. So please join the online conversation using the hashtag DMZ Women Founders. The DMZ is Canada's leading accelerator and incubator, #1 in North America and #3 in the world. Our vision is to help Canadian entrepreneurs build world-class businesses, and since 2010, we've helped 317 startups grow. We've fueled the growth of 3,000. We've created jobs, 3,000 jobs, and we've helped entrepreneurs raise over $397 million. I apologize, $395 million. We do this by providing access to world-class coaching, access to a network of customers, some serious capital, and a strong community. The DMZ Women Founders Accelerator is now on a national quest to find 8 very high potential women-led founders, women-led startups, wherever they may be, to help them attain product market fit and help them throughout the journey to becoming global powerhouses. My name is Nuhaila, and I'm honored, privileged, and very excited to be the program's lead for the Women Founders Accelerator and to be your host for the rest of the event. A few housekeeping items. The washrooms are straight ahead, right behind this room. For Wi-Fi access, please find the information near the registration desk. And the hashtag, once again, is hashtag DMZ Women Founders. So today we're going to start by hearing from the DMZ Senior Director of Programs and Partnerships, and then we will have the privilege of listening to the story of renowned executive Kirsten Stewart just before we enter an insightful discussion on the importance of providing resources to women founders. And then you will finally have the opportunity to learn more about the program itself. So, without any further delay, I would like to invite to the stage a champion of Women in Tech initiatives, who is also the DMZ Director of Programs and Partnerships, Hussam Ayad.
Thanks, Nuhaila. Many thanks. Good morning, everyone. Well, as Nuhaila mentioned, my name is Hussam Ayad, and I'm the Senior Director of Programs and Partnerships here at the DMZ. And today I'm truly humbled and honored to be part of this great launch of our DMZ Women Founders Program. In the tech sector, we often talk about the about Canada needing to better support leading growth tech stage companies, what we talk less about is the need for these global tech champions to be led by women. And, with the support of our great partners, Scotiabank and Tangerine, industry leaders, and our DMZ entrepreneurs in residence, we've designed a rigorous program that does just that, providing Canada's high-potential women-founded startups with the resources and networks they need to validate their businesses, secure early revenue, and scale. Our goal is to have Women Founders Program foster the next wave of Canadian tech entrepreneurs to look out for. And with this goal, today's program launch is one that is important for the DMZ, or is basically as important as it is for the DMZ as it is for our startup ecosystem. And because the time to launch a dedicated and customized and custom-tailored growth program that supports early-stage tech companies led by women is well overdue. In fact, a study by the Brookfield Institute shows that only 14% of our startups have one female founder. And although many might look at this as a pipeline issue, as there are fewer women graduating in post-secondary programs in STEM, well, I'd have to agree with our DMZ entrepreneur in residence and friend and founder of Design UX, Michelle Kiers, in saying that this is a bit of an excuse. Fact of the matter is, there are a number of successful startup founders without STEM background. So why are we still at 14%? And as we often talk about the women in tech pipeline, we fall short on retention and on supporting the women founders who are currently in our ecosystem. The Women Founders Program is tailored to provide founders with an inclusive space to receive the tools and mentorship needed to reach product market fit, one of the key barriers for women founders of early stage tech companies. And like all of our accelerator programs, we will also focus on providing on what we call a DMZ, the 4 Cs, which is coaching, customers, capital, and community. Coaching in our best-in-class roster of entrepreneurs in residence, customers in our unique and our tailored and curated introductions and highly targeted introductions to potential customers, capital through our one-on-one connections to our highly exclusive, highly vetted, and curated network of hundreds of investors, and community, which is basically the connection through our unmatched network, which includes, obviously, our great partners, Scotiabank and Tangerine. We'll also be adding an exciting international component to the 4 Cs by including an all-expense paid trip to New York City's office, or the DMZ's New York City office, for curated one-on-one meetings with high-potential investors and customers. We understand that in order for Canada to grow and become a global leader, we need to focus on the progress of women within our thriving startup ecosystem. There's nothing that can make Canada a truly innovative and globally competitive nation more than having as many individuals who make up our great country represented within our tech sector. We need to actively support female tech entrepreneurs and support them in building world-class businesses. And we're determined to make sure the DMZ Women Founders Program will be one of the many ways that will help us reach this goal. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the DMZ team at large for organizing this great event and for putting great efforts behind this great program, and especially Nohela and Michelle. Your relentless work, dedication, and efforts have definitely paid off. And I believe this will be a program for ages to talk about, really, and hopefully a continuous program that will become an integral part of everything that we do at the DMZ. Thank you. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Kirsten Stewart. Kirsten is the President and Chief Revenue Officer at TribalScale. She is responsible for TribalScale's continued growth and international expansion. Prior to joining TribalScale, Kirsten was the Chief Strategy Officer for Dipley and held the position of the VP of Media at Twitter. Her accomplishments in the business and tech world led Maclean's magazine to place Kirsten at number 15 in their 100 Most Powerful Canadians list. As a DMZ Advisory Council member, Kirsten continues to support emerging innovations in Canada and is in no doubt an inspiration to any individual who wishes to become a tech entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Kirsten. Kirsten.
you. It's hard to see because of the lights on, but when I was walking from the back to the front, how impressive, like what an amazing group of women and supportive men I see here today. This is fantastic. Congratulations to you all. This is the start of something amazing, and I'm really excited to be here as a part of it. You know, I'm also honored to be a part of the DMZ Advisory Committee. You know, the opportunity to work with others and with the intention behind the advisory for DMZ to actually launch programs like this to broaden the perspectives of where tech has been. Like, this is a truly innovative space. The DMZ has done a lot of great work, as you've heard, and I'm just so pleased and proud to be a part of the advisory committee. I'm especially excited today to be here to help to announce the DMZ Women's Founders Accelerator. You know, there's going to be a cohort of female founders who will get support and knowledge and guidance from this amazing program. And at the conclusion, the opportunity to pitch for a significant amount of funding from the partners at Scotiabank and Tangerine. That is amazing. This is truly an innovative program that's very much focused on making sure that women founders in tech feel supported and that we see the great efforts of all their work and efforts. You know, I'm proud in particular of this program because here's the elephant in the room, I am not a female founder. I have never been a female founder. And I ask myself often, you know, what would have changed if these kinds of programs were available to me at the time when I was perhaps looking around and thinking what I might be doing next. And it's amazing when you think about the potential of the opportunities that have been lost over the years because we haven't been putting a focus on supporting female founders. This is never too late to start. This is the start of something wonderful. This is the start of our focus on making sure that female founders feel supported and that they can thrive in the system, and that those ideas and that those inventions and the technology that they bring to bear and the economic benefits that their companies will bring to bear to this country become a reality. So I'm very excited to be a part of this. I recognize that it's not too late and that perhaps, you know, I might be applying for this down the road. And I'm very excited to be a part of this day today. I'm looking forward to being part of the panel with some amazing women founders themselves who obviously have achieved much more than I have in the field. So I'm looking forward to learning from them as well. So with no further ado, we're going to be bringing up the panel. And Nuhali, I think you're going to come and introduce them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. That was inspirational, and I definitely feel the energy of the room change. We just can't have enough of you, so we will invite you right back to the stage to join the panelists. And then next, I would like to invite to the stage Eva Wong, co-founder and chief operating officer at Borrowell. For those of you who do not know, Borrowell is a Canadian tech company that helps Canadians make great decisions about their credit and be the hero of their credit. I want this product. And yes, they are alumni of the DMZ, and yes, Eva is an award-winning entrepreneur. Too many awards to list, so I'll just say she has degrees from Harvard University and Queen's School of Business. Next is our founder of CEO of Design UX and our entrepreneur in residence, Michelle Cares. Michelle Cares is the definition of startup veteran. She has led 6 successful startups and is the entrepreneur in residence at the DMZ and of the Women Founders Accelerator. She holds a degree from Western University and an MBA from Nottingham University. And she's the founder and CEO of a design and strategy firm called Design UX. So next, I'm going to take this big step to join the panel. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We have 3 trailblazing women. We have a startup founder, we have a startup veteran, and a renowned executive. Can everybody actually hear me? No? Okay. Yeah. Is this a little bit better?
There you go.
Yes. Okay. So we might have to pass this along. So the objective of this panel is to discuss the importance of providing the right resources for women founders in order to set them up for success. And we have 3 different perspectives, and we'll also be engaging the audience, by the way. So I'm going to begin. The first question is, the DMZ has recently conducted a survey to truly understand the challenges of women founders and create the foundation of what is now the Women Founders Accelerator. Some of the findings, while not exactly surprising, were quite interesting. 71% believed it challenging to find support from established women in tech, and 84% did not have a mentor altogether. So considering everything that's going on with women in tech initiatives, why is this number so high, and why are women still struggling to find mentorship in their business?
I'm happy to take a stab at that. So I think people can hear. Okay, yeah. I think there were some stats that were shared earlier on about just there aren't that many women in tech, and I think what Kirsten was sharing as well is like there weren't programs like this available like 5, 10 years ago. So I mean, I think the number is low overall, but I think it's even lower at some of those senior levels. So there just like aren't that many, and I would say I'm part of that stat. I don't feel like I necessarily have a like more senior sort of official mentor in tech. That being said, I think one of the great things that I was able to get here at the DMZ when Borwell was here is that sense of community. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's more senior. And I would say it doesn't also have to be like a single person who can mentor you in every single aspect of what's going on. I feel very fortunate that I met a ton of great people here, and I also have a really great peer network. And people have different experiences. They could be younger than me or even less experienced than me, but they'll have done things that I haven't done before, and so I can learn from them. So again, there definitely is that dearth, but I think being part of an accelerator like this can give you that community and can give you that support, even if there aren't sort of more senior female founders.
Well, I'm glad you had the opportunity to get mentorship and to get some support. I'm curious to know from Michelle's point of view, as a mentor who's helped startups, successful startups, and who've helped them get acquired and raise significant amounts of money, what do you think is the value that entrepreneurs get from mentorship, especially by women?
I would echo Eva's explanation about there not being enough, let me just adjust this, about there not being enough women leaders available to share and mentor and share their experiences. I myself am very dedicated towards being a mentor, and what I've found is that all entrepreneurs need mentorship, men or women, and they all face a lot of the same problems, a lot of the same challenges, one of the big challenges being product market fit. We can talk about that a bit more later. But what women face that men don't are some dynamics that they need to think about when they're going into meetings, when they're pitching to investors, when they're hiring, or when they're looking for people to start a business with. And in my experience, a lot of the women that have been at the DMZ expressed frustration that they were looking for a technical co-founder and they couldn't find one, or that they were technical and couldn't find a business person who wanted to partner with them on their product. And they wanted to have, like any business founder, they wanted to have the best resources, the best team, and that's where they had challenges. So I think with this accelerator, to Eva's point, the women and the people involved in it will be able to use each other as resources and grow that network. And when they're successful, I hope that they will pay it forward and give back and continue to grow this network. And one day it won't be a problem.
That's great. Kirsten, I don't know if you want to add anything. I know that you previously wrote a book called Our Turn, and I don't know if you want to elaborate how it is now our turn.
Sure, happy to. I think my mic is okay. We'll see. We talk about a lot of issues today, and as we look forward to some of the challenges that women in particular face, because this is, we are here to celebrate a Women Founders Accelerator program. There are differences, as Michelle said, and I do agree with Eva on the sense that sometimes I think we put ourselves too much on a specific course when we could be I'm going to have to use this, aren't I? where we could actually be broadening our perspective and where we find mentorship and support throughout our own community. And I would also recommend that, as I was not a tech exec until just recently. I'm very happy to be representing as such, but it also shows you that there are a wealth of experiences, a wealth of knowledge and advice that can be gathered from people who are not necessarily in the specific tech field or tech industry. So, I would suggest that people, when they don't find the support they're looking for, keep looking. And it is a matter, I think, of broadening your network, maybe even perhaps beyond the technology sector, because, the challenges that women in particular face in business are quite shared across many different industries and verticals. So I think, we can take advantage of the fact that, if you broaden your network to women who've had similar experiences, they don't necessarily have to be in the tech space. And I think that is something that we can look forward to as well. These challenges are shared challenges, and I think we can only come to solutions if we figure out a way to do so together.
I think that's a great point you bring up, and I know that Eva, yourself, you didn't have any tech or financial services or startup background, and Michelle, you have a politics background, so clearly you do not need to be a woman in STEM to get into tech and be leaders in that. So in the same research by the DMZ, the majority of women also stated that lack of credibility was their biggest challenge in acquiring customers. Why do you think women tend to struggle with credibility in tech? And this might be $1 million question, but we'll take a stab at it anyway.
Sure. So your question was that women report not feeling credible, or that people don't perceive them as credible?
So the majority of women stated that lack of credibility perceived by others was their biggest challenge. So others perceived them to be not credible.
In my experience, women make excellent salespeople. So I'm not sure where that feeling would be coming from, or that perception. I do believe that women founders face challenges when they're looking to investors, and they feel that they're not getting a perception of credibility when they're talking to investors and asking for funding. And our solution to that, or my suggested solution to that, and what we're hoping to achieve with this accelerator, is sales solves everything. If you have revenue coming into your startup, then you can make a case, and the credibility is in the numbers. And so we're hoping to help these women to either achieve their first customer or grow their current revenues, so that they are in a position where the numbers speak for themselves, the credibility is there, and they can get their funding.
I'm curious to know about the audience. How many women founders or entrepreneurs in here feel that lack of credibility from others, perceived by others, is an issue in acquiring customers, in building a business in general? Maybe just a show of hands. Okay, I see a few hands. Okay, interesting. So research has also suggested time and again that the most diverse teams are more likely to be successful than just all male founders. And I think still, according to the Move the Dial report, only 5% of founders in general are women. This is an astonishingly low number. Why is it so low? What do you think?
I'll try using this. Do you know what? I think one of the reasons I like is it's hard to beat if you don't see it. And so I think, I don't necessarily think that women are looking at startups and saying, oh, that's not for me. I think sometimes this doesn't cross their mind that that's a career path that would make sense. So I think people sort of stereotype within the media of a startup founder is Mark Zuckerberg in the social network. It's some sort of, socially awkward,
like a socially awkward 24-year-old college dropout male wearing a hoodie. Like that's sort of who we think about as a startup founder. And And so I do like to tell the story. I became a startup founder when I was 37. I was on mat leave. I had 2 kids. Like, I don't think most people think of that when they think of startup founder. And to be honest, like, I don't think I would have thought of it either. It was really, I had a friend who, Andrew Graham is the CEO of Borrowell. He was the one who quit his job and had the idea, and he was recruiting a team of people. So it was really, you know, him seeing that in me, and then me looking at it and saying, yeah, this is actually, it hits all of what I'm looking for in a career. So I do think sometimes, whether it's the media or whether it's just like people not thinking about it, and then, it just doesn't really cross people's minds.
Kirsten, I wanted to get your point of view. I know you're not a founder yourself, but you are an executive and you have an amazing career in tech and in media as well. What is your point of view in this?
Well, I think, you know, to Eva's point too, you can't be what you don't see, and you know, in whatever way female executives can help, you know, represent at the top levels of companies and hopefully spur on the passion and the interest of women coming up in the field to perhaps start their own business. That's a hope. I look at women such as Sheryl Sandberg or, you know, other females who, like Susan Woznicki, who are the heads of pretty major tech businesses. When I looked over to the tech side of things from the media business, where it also has a female representation problem and a diversity problem in general, I was actually really excited to join the tech field, because when I was accepting the position at Twitter to start the Canadian office, that's at the time when Marissa Mayer had just been announced as the CEO of Yahoo. And that was a pretty pivotal moment, because as you said, you know, she was an executive, not a founder, but given the trust of a very large company and a tech company in a position where she was actually, I think, 5 or 6 months pregnant at the time. And I thought, wow, here I am in the media world where that kind of thing would never be heard of, and look at this tech space where I had heard people like Susan Woznicki say, hey, you know, we are pioneers. There are no kind of legacy structures that you have to deal with. We can build this on our own and build it the right way. And then I saw Marissa was being, you know, named CEO while being pregnant. And, you know, the kind of shine and the opportunity of the tech space, you know, lost its luster pretty fast. And that's sad, because it was a pioneering space. It still is a pioneering space. And I think the more that we take the opportunities to step up and to make room for ourselves and to reach out to programs like this and to great people like Michelle who are driving this at organizations like DMZ and finding partners through Scotiabank and Tangerine, like that's, you know, these are the initiatives that we need so that it isn't just a figurehead at the top of a company, not quite at the top, just almost at the top of a company. And instead people and women can look to that and understand that they can be the top of the company. They could be the top of their company. So I think that's what's exciting about today. I don't think the window has completely closed on that opportunity that I saw when I looked over to the tech side, that I thought, you know, this is the place where I'm going to be on equal playing field. Didn't turn out to be that way, and it was unfortunate that we didn't take advantage of that opportunity then. But as I said in my opening remarks, it's never too late. We have an opportunity now, and programs like this are going to help, you know, give that initial step forward, and that's what's exciting about the future. We have to take advantage of these moments because they don't come often enough.
I'd just like to add one point, and this is more something for everyone to think about. If you ever desire to become a founder of a startup, you don't have to start there. You can go and work at another startup and help them build the business and learn the ropes, learn from their mistakes, see what works, see what doesn't work, discover your passion where it applies within tech. It could be in marketing, it could be in technology, it could be in finance. And, you know, this can be your training ground, helping someone else build their business until you're ready to take the step forward and build your own. So that would be my advice.
One other thing I'd want to add as well is that there are definitely advantages to being a woman in tech, right? There's advantages to, you know, not being another straight white male. So, I mean, I don't know how many people in the general population could name the prior CEO of Yahoo, right? Like, people know Marissa Mayer because she stood out. And I'd say, like, I feel like pretty fortunate in that, like, people know Borrowell and people know me because there aren't that many female founders in fintech. And there's definitely advantages as well.
that's a great point and great advice, Michelle, as well. So going back to the importance of having programs that target women, what do you think, based on your different experiences, are some of the components that are crucial to making a successful accelerator, especially an accelerator for women entrepreneurs?
Well, the reality is that 9 out of 10 startups fail. And 6 out of 10 of successful startups have made a very crucial pivot. And I can point to some of those. Shopify made a really crucial pivot from being a snowboard shop into being an e-commerce system. Slack pivoted from a multiplayer game into being a communications platform. And there are many more companies out there that had to make a pivot at a crucial time and became billion-dollar businesses. Instagram is another example. So I think with this program and what we would try to achieve is, with a focus on product market fit, the people who are participating, the women founders and their teams who are participating in this accelerator, will come to learn really quickly what direction they're headed in. And my hope is that if they do have an opportunity to pivot into that product market fit, that they will find success. And if I may, I believe this time, 2018, we're seeing a pivot in the industry as a whole to be more inclusive, get more diverse people in the workplace, get more women in leadership positions, and by having an accelerator program, then we can support these women to succeed and grow their business, and then our economy as a whole will grow.
Eva, as a startup founder, what would you say are some of the things that would really help in being part of an accelerator?
I feel really fortunate that we were part of the DMZ in the early days. I do think some of the things that were mentioned before, those 4 C's, I think I can only remember 3, but for sure capital, like Ryerson Futures is one of our investors, one of our early investors, so having that support was really, really crucial. The community, as I mentioned before, was really important, and there are still people that were on the floor when we were here that we keep in touch with. Like the whole Sensible team was here. I remember Corey, who's the CEO of Sensible, giving us feedback on our logo. It's like they're, and Mike Murchison of Ada, there was a bunch of other companies that were around that really provide that community. And customers, we tried to get everyone who was here to be a Boreal customer in the early days. So yeah, I think it's really key to be part of a community. Being a founder can also be very lonely. And so it's like great to have other people who can provide you that support and can see a bit more perspective when you're sort of down in the doldrums and you're like very focused on a specific problem. It's like, hey, like you've come so far, and to be that reminder.
And just for reference, the 4C is coaching. So
coaching, okay, awesome.
The logo coaching.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I don't know if any other panels have anything to add, but if not, we will open the floor and ask audience for questions. So do we have any audience who want to ask questions? Okay. So I can't really see. So maybe I can have, Ahmed is going to go around with a mic.
Thank you. I think this is more of a practical question, so apologize if it seems a little pedantic. I'm from the Chang School, and we recently launched a project to support students and alumni to develop innovations that have to do with accessibility, support people with disabilities and aging populations. So I'm wondering about the overall accelerator and just where women would benefit the most in terms of what stage of their startup and where that input is really the most pivotal.
Thank you so much for that. So actually, we will have a program overview right after this, and we'll give you more information. And if you have any questions, we're more than happy to ask about the accelerator itself. Do we have? Okay, we have a question right over here.
Hi, my name is Osai. Thank you so much for doing this. My question is pretty much around what Eva said, how you launched while you were on mat leave with children and everything. So my question is, what are some strategies for launching a startup, still balancing, family and kids and trying to do everything?
Yeah. So I'm not saying that I did everything well. Do you know what? I think there's some real advantages again. So, I had been on mat leave, which meant that I had already taken a reduction in income. So I had, scaled back some of my, I think it's really interesting. I talked to a lot of people, especially in fintech, who are at a bank, who, it's like really hard for them to make that move because they have a lifestyle that that they have to keep up and an income that they have to keep up in the early days of the startup, unless you're super lucky to be funded really well from the early days. Like there is an element of taking a bit of a step back, but again, we'd already sort of done that. I think having a family also forces you to take time away from the business, which is also really healthy and important. And so I think that provided a bunch of perspective. And there's been a bunch of stuff written about this. I do think there's an efficiency as well, where if you have a family, that you're going home at a certain time, you force yourself to get a bunch of stuff done. You really prioritize and become a lot more efficient with your time. So I think there's a number of advantages, and our founding team, we're all parents, and our management team today is all parents, and so I think that has an impact on our culture. Even people who don't have families appreciate the fact that people aren't expected to work all the time. Everyone has a life outside of work. And we think that's healthy and provides perspective, and everyone needs a bit of a break as well.
And I love what you said off the top, Eva. I don't necessarily do it all well, and I'm sure you do it all fantastically well, and I think it's the question of sometimes it's our own perspective on what we expect of ourselves, and sometimes those expectations are a lot higher on what we put on ourselves and what others put on you. And sometimes, we do live in a world too, and I was very interested when Marissa was named as CEO while pregnant, how many negative comments came out right afterwards about the fact that could she manage this? Could she manage the juggle? And unfortunately, a lot of those comments came from women. So I think, the one thing that I'm seeing in this next generation coming up after is this willingness to kind of support each other through through your goals and not judge and understand that, you might feel like you're not doing it all well, but you're actually doing it the best you can. And that's good enough. Like, I think ultimately, we're always going to be making the right choices on behalf of our families, whether our families are our kids, whether they're aging parents, an ill sister. We all have situations outside of a work experience where life happens. And you accommodate life and work to be, the best you can. And I think we have to give others the grace to make the choices that they make, which might be different than your choice, and how you balance or manage that kind of, I don't like to call it balance, I like to call it flow, because ultimately there is no balance. And anybody who tries to, to kind of stand up there as a superwoman to declare there is such a thing, they're not telling the truth, ultimately. So I think we have, a couple of things where we have to recognize that we aren't going to be able to do it all and do it at 100%, but we can do it all well. Like, we can get it, you can make it work. And it's going to be tough some days, and you're going to have to work twice as hard sometimes as the person sitting next to you, but you will get through it. And I think often when I talk to women who are just starting families, I can be a bit of a test case or a bit of a relief to know that I've got a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old, and they're okay, and they don't hate me, and I don't think so, not today anyway. And it does all work out. Did it work perfectly every step of the way? It never does. But if you don't take the shot, if you don't take the chance, and you sit back worrying about what might be, you'll never know what could be.
Hi, thank you guys so much for being here, and thanks for this amazing event. I just had a question about the early days when you're trying to get your brand out there, and it's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing, where in your heart you have a really good solution for people and it's win-win, but people have no idea who you are and they're not sure they want to take a chance on you yet. So any strategies or learnings that came out of that?
Yeah, I think it's especially true in financial services. So it is pretty important to have a brand that people had heard of and they could trust, especially when we were asking for people to trust us with their personal information. And I would say I really underestimated that in the early days. I thought that Wealthsimple launched around the same time, a bit earlier than us, and I thought, it was so much harder because they were asking people for money, whereas we were in the early days, we were giving people money. So it's like I thought the trust would be lower, but it's still financial services, and again, it's people's personal information. In the early days, we really prioritized getting some PR. So being able to put that Toronto Star, Globe and Mail, like CBC logo on our website, and to have someone click through and say, yeah, we're a legitimate company, and we've been sort of written up before. We like milked those for as much as we could. So we did invest in like a small amount in our launch in PR, and we're at least able to get like one or two of those like major media things that we could sort of put up. I think that was helpful. And then one of the things that's pretty interesting for us is you would think that as an online product and with an online funnel that digital media would be the best way to get customers, and in a lot of ways it is. But we found that investing in traditional media made people feel like we were a real company. So being on the radio, as an example, we didn't spend nearly as much on radio as we did on, you know, some of our social media channels or digital media channels. But spending a couple $100 on a couple radio ads was like, oh, you guys are a real company, because anyone can put up something on Facebook, but presumably you have to be more of a quote-unquote real company to have a radio ad. I don't know. But it is, I think it's really interesting. It's like one of those things that we don't really think of, but the traditional media does have trust, and I think that was really important for us.
So with my strategy and design company, we work with a lot of startups, and they face this problem, and it's something that we talk about a lot. It's very rare. So there seems to be this misconception that you can go viral. Okay, viral happens by mistake. Okay, make a mistake, believe me, it'll go viral. Okay, so Instagram got a lot of uptick because Justin Bieber downloaded it and started it, and he has like a gazillion followers. So of course, you know, that really helped promote their brand. And unless you know Justin Bieber, maybe you do, you may not get that kind of publicity or PR. But Eva's right, like you have to invest. Now, understanding that you are a small startup and you don't have a huge budget, you have to invest very smartly. And you have to think about what your goals are and what your message is. Like, figure out what you're trying to tell people or get them to understand, and then pick your medium to match that. Radio ads, excellent. If you need to build up that credibility, for sure, I agree with you. We did it with a few startups as well. But you may find digital media, you may find Facebook, you may find setting up a pop-up shop somewhere so that people can see that you're real, or even touch whatever it is that you're selling would be helpful. Again, it's all about what is your goal, and then match whatever strategy you have to that goal.
We still have time for a couple or one or two more questions, so.
Hi there, I'm Amanda from 111, and I can say we're super pumped about this program because we can't wait to invite the graduates to join 111's community. But I'm wondering if any of you could share a little bit about mentoring. Do you mentor? Are there mentors in your career path that have sort of helped you get to the next level? Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah,
I made a conscious decision to start mentoring and started volunteering in the Toronto tech community. And one of my priorities was to encourage women founders. And the interesting thing about it, with the different organizations that I've mentored with, is that I have a lot of women come and speak to me where they didn't feel comfortable necessarily speaking to a man where they may have not felt the same kind of relationship with. And so I think the more women we can have volunteering their time and getting out there and sharing their experience, that will open the door for more women to ask those tough questions and to, you know, I don't have all the answers. That's the number one thing you need to understand about a mentor-mentee relationship is I have an opinion, but I don't have all the answers. And I get as much from the people that I speak to every day here at the DMZ as I feel like I'm giving back. Some days I feel like I get more. And the other interesting thing about it is I'm learning all the time. Like the startups that are here at the DMZ are tackling some really interesting problems. They've had a very interesting approach to it. And I see what challenges that this startup A has. And interestingly, that can be applied over here to Startup B. So it cross-pollinates. So what you're looking for in a mentor-mentee relationship, and I do mentor like all startups here, it's not just the women founders, because is that it has to be a win-win on both sides. As a startup, if you're looking for someone to help you, you can't always just be asking. You have to give back to that mentor, and you can do it in a number of different ways because we're all just people, and so that's what I would recommend.
We have time for one more question, and by the way, men can speak too. We invite your opinions as well.
Thank you guys so much for taking your time to be here and be part of this amazing program and amazing event. My question is, as you were building your businesses or building your career, what was the biggest struggle that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
You know, I think a lot of us have a lot of shared experiences. I think, you know, the wonderful and the kind of sad thing about being a female or a woman at work today, you know, we do experience a lot of the same challenges along the path. We might experience them in different ways and at different times. But I find that the biggest challenge that I've had over my career is understanding that the path is not necessarily set out for you. That you may have an idea or a goal that is very specific, and I learned very early on that those kind of 5-year plans or best laid plans, as they call them, you know, and God laughed. Like the world changes so fast, and I think the challenge was in myself to recognize what my own skills were, the fact that, you know, what values I had, the fact that I wanted to find a line of business or a place of work or, you know, some place to be that where I could both use my skill set and feel like I connected to the company's values. To put yourself in and look inward at yourself and understand what would make you satisfied, which is sometimes beyond a title or a paycheck or a bank account. You know, that was the biggest challenge, I think, for me, and that the challenges are always external. They're always going to be there. The system is broken. We need to fix it. As I said earlier, McLean's this week, you know, the system needs a reboot. We all know that. I think the way that we can take power into ourselves is to understand what makes us feel like we are successful, and find, you know, after that discovery, find those places where that matches your ability to succeed and will support your success. Because I think sometimes we presume that what others think about us, the goals and expectations that they may have about where you should be by now, you know, those are not necessarily realistic, and they don't necessarily match what you want to do in your own life. So I think taking control a bit of what you feel success is, what connection you feel to your value set and where you can spend that skills and learn more, that's so important. Because I think, you know, I would not have made the move into media in the first place because I was going to be a publisher when I grew up. Then I would definitely not made the move from media into tech if I hadn't kept my head up and understood what I could do and how I could be helpful in a world that I hadn't yet entered, and really draw on those skills and match my values to a company that would also match mine. So I think there's, you know, putting yourself first is a challenge, and I think it's an important one that we have to settle, because that will guide whatever decisions you make going forward.
Thank you, Kirsten. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so that will be the last question. So thank you very much for by the way, great questions, and a round of applause for our amazing panelists. Thank you very much. I invite you to go. Can everyone hear me well now? Yes. Right, okay, great. So I'll just drop the mic. Okay. So thank you again for the discussion. We now will finally learn a little bit more about the program itself. Just a brief overview of the key elements of this program. So it will open, or it has already opened today. Applications are open. It is a 4-month program that will focus on product market fit.
You will have, as you can see here, EIRs like Michelle Cares, who will be rolling their sleeves with you and keeping you accountable on a weekly basis. You'll also engage in weekly workshops on customer discovery, product market fit, refining and building sales processes conducted by some of the top entrepreneurs here in Canada, so people who have been there and done that. You'll also participate in events and socials to enrich your network alongside your peers. And as Hussam mentioned earlier, there is a dedicated workspace, I apologize, as Hussam mentioned earlier, there is a New York City trip that we will be doing to meet more customers, more investors, and maybe go to a comedy club. There's also going to be dedicated workspace alongside some of Canada's top entrepreneurs. And last but not least, you will also have a cash prize towards the end, sponsored by our partners, Tangerine and Scotiabank. These are non-dilutive cash prizes awarded to the top 3 performing startups of $50,000, $25,000, and $15,000 out of 8 startups. So how's that for an accelerator? As mentioned, applications close on March 20th, and the program itself will open in April 16th. For more information, please visit the website and contact me as well if you have any questions. I'm happy to stay back after this and talk as well. And before we invite you for lunch, I would like to invite to the stage Nicole German, who is startup advisor and mentor. She's going to be representing Scotiabank and Tangerine, our esteemed partners. Please welcome Nicole.
Thanks. What a great event, great session. So thank you for all the panel participants and everyone that's here. This is a great turnout. So I'm Nicole German. I'm the head of digital marketing, enterprise digital marketing for Scotiabank. So I'm representing Scotiabank and Tangerine today with our partnership with the DMZ Women's Founder Accelerator. And I'm incredibly excited to be here, not because only because I'm a female, but I've done a ton of work over the course of my career with startups. So I've done it on an advisory basis with lots of DMZ organizations, pro bono, just because I love to stay connected to all the stuff that's going on. I've done it as a consultant, and I've actually been embedded into, that's not very good, into so many startups. So I'm incredibly passionate about that. So for Scotiabank and Tangerine, the mandate of the program is directly in line with our core values and our commitments, really around supporting diversity and inclusion in Canada, sharing access to our resources, so people, process, technology, to help female founders launch and grow their business, and to help provide much-needed access to capital for female entrepreneurs. So we're looking forward to collaborating with all the company cohorts and turning Canada's top women-led startups into global powerhouses. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. We're very lucky to be partnered with Scotiabank and Tangerine, who are just personally involved as they are professionally. So thank you, Scotiabank and Tangerine. Thank you to the speakers, to the audience, and enough talking. I would like to invite you to network among yourselves while we serve lunch. Thank you very much.
Always at your doorway when it's take me back to when I picked a fight with you right out of the blue. I wish we made amends. I didn't mean to lose all the good times that I had with you. I'm sorry if it doesn't